Last week, I talked about magical thinking OCD. If that episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're a military wife dealing with magical thinking OCD, I have a private podcast just for you. 20 episodes on breaking OCD's rules. You can find the link in the show notes. I'm Erin Davis, and welcome to the Bossing Up Overcoming OCD podcast. So let's get into the lie of OCD and the core things it does to keep you trapped in its cycle. Well, to keep you not only trapped in its cycle, but also trapped in that OCD bubble. The core lie is OCD tells you that those actions that you did, like in my example of cutting off the microwave before the timer ran out, the lie was it kept my family safe. Logically, obviously, I know that's not true, but it felt real. And you may be going through the same thing where you do one of those behaviors, and that's a compulsion, and then that leads you to feel like everyone's safe. So you follow one of OCD's rules, maybe you pray in that specific pattern, or you check your partner's location, you clean your house a certain way, and then nothing bad happens. Your family is fine, no disaster strikes, and you get this sense from OCD telling you like, see, everything's fine, everyone's safe, good thing you did it. This is how OCD just reinforces itself and keeps that cycle alive. It takes credit when nothing bad happens. And because nothing bad happened, your brain learned the rule worked, I need to keep following it. So the next time OCD demands that you do something, that urge is going to feel stronger, more visceral, more intense, because now your brain has miscommunicated this evidence that it is necessary to follow OCD's rules. So let me give you an example. I had a client named Sarah who for years was praying in a specific way. She would also sit in her church pew and tap her fingers a certain way on the bench. And if none of it went right, she would have to repeat it, because part of the ritual too was that she thought by tapping the bench that once she got to the middle finger that somehow she was disrespecting God. She was flipping off people in the church. So she would continually keep her fingers moving so that it wasn't like she was isolating the one middle finger in church. And so by doing those things, the specific prayers, the, rolling of the fingers on the bench, it helped her feel like everyone was safe. She wasn't disrespecting God, and OCD took the credit. So every Sunday, it was like these sensations got more and more intense, because then it progresses to, am I paying attention to the preacher enough? Am I taking this to heart? Am I really saved? And the tricky part is, in times before, doing those compulsions, those things worked in the sense that they helped her feel better. And what Sarah noticed is that her relief was very temporary, and then it became this whole thing of like Sunday morning is a full-on OCD ritual, and it was really hard for her to enjoy her spiritual life, and it was really hard for her to enjoy her spiritual life. All in all, the relief that OCD gives you is very short term, and it's very short lived. Our brains are wired for comfort, but when you give in to OCD, you are accidentally reinforcing a monster. And it also feels extremely terrifying to change things on your own. That's why you need support, and you need someone who's got the tools, the techniques, and the track record to help you get out of this thing, because OCD has convinced you that breaking the rules will lead to disaster. But here's the truth, and you're already aware of this. Keeping those rules never kept you or anyone safe. It was just a feeling that they were safe. And just because we feel that they're safe, that doesn't mean that that's what's actually going to happen, because feelings are not facts. So to break that cycle, you definitely need a trained professional to help you through those steps to gradually break the grip of OCD. Because ultimately what we are teaching your brain is that the checking, the repeating, the rehearsing, the avoiding, all of those things, none of it has the power to prevent bad outcomes. And on top of that, you can handle uncertainty. It's all about changing your relationship with uncertainty. And I've got more specific techniques in that private podcast episode. Check out the links in the show notes. And as always, you can DM me on Instagram at Erin Davis Coaching if you have specific questions or want to get in touch for a session. In the next episode, we're going to talk about responsibility OCD, which is essentially like when being careful becomes a prison. So for now, I want you to sit with this. this. Every time you follow OCD's rules, you're making OCD stronger. Breaking the cycle requires breaking the rules. So if you're a rule follower, and I know that can sound scary, but remember, with someone by your side, you can do this. You can handle this. And in fact, I've had a client blame me and try to say, like, Erin, if I stop checking on my husband, I'm going to blame you if he cheats. But guess what? She stopped checking and he's not cheating. So your actions, your thoughts, they do not have power or control over other things in the universe, like the magical thinking or the core lies of what OCD tells you. So when you're ready to break those rules, check out the show notes for your resources, and I'll be back here next week where we're going to talk about that responsibility OCD. Thanks, and stay blessed by the best.